said he's going to give it a go, which is not surprising. How limited did he seem to you, Jim? I mean, he was still doing his thing out there in the second half last week and kind of fighting through all of that.
Yeah, still managed to put a lot. He didn't get any sacks, but he put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Just in general, our pressure rate, our quarterback hit rate was really high in that game. We just didn't do a good job of winning the coverage when we did get that pressure, and we weren't able to finish some of them with sacks. But he's a warrior. He's going to go out there and give it everything he has. He's been limited. I mean, last year he got limited a little bit with the shoulder as we went down the stretch. But anything he's able to do, he's going to go out there and do it. And when he's on the field for us, he provides a big boost.
What do you guys have to do to get off to a faster start?
I thought we did in that game. We went 3 and out on the first drive and then intercepted the first play of the second drive, and then we started shooting ourselves in the foot. We get the penalty on the interception, which is a penalty all day long. I mean, you hit the guy in the head. I mean, you got to lower your strike zone on the quarterback. We talk about it all the time, but, make that play. I mean, it's a huge, huge difference. And then in those next couple of drives that we gave up touchdowns, we had multiple opportunities to be able to stop those drives, and we just didn't make them. You're not going to make every single one in this league, but we got to start making more of our fair share, particularly some tackles on some second and longs that could have turned into third and longs. We had them, whatever it was, 2nd and 17, and we miss a tackle. It's going to be like 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13. Good chance you're getting off the field with no points on that drive. Same thing on the backed up drive. It's 2nd and long. They throw a pass behind the line of scrimmage. We whiff on the tackle. All of a sudden they're out of jail. And, we have to take advantage of more of those opportunities. But it wasn't so much the starting fast. Probably my biggest disappointment in that game was our drive right before the half. Our offense turned the ball over. They're in field goal range, but they have a new kicker. And, we need to go out and cover our offense with that and get off the field, hold them to a field goal attempt. And it was like completion, 5 plays, touchdown. And whether it was our attitude wasn't right, we were, when you take the field after that sudden change, that's when you really need to rise. And when we had a second chance to do it in the fourth quarter, we executed that about as well as you can execute. They're already in field goal range, hold them right there. They try a field goal, and the guy missed a field goal. I mean, if he makes that field goal, game's out of reach there completely. So tackle better. Our tackling in the first half. Anytime you don't tackle well, your defense isn't going to look very good. And we were probably about twice the rate of missed tackles that we normally are in a game. You're not going. Again, it's the NFL. You're not going to make every single one, but our rate was too high, particularly in some critical situations. And I think that had a lot to do with where that game was before we were able to right ourselves in that game.
I know you have a lot of trust in all your cornerbacks. But what is the schematic advantage in just playing right and left cornerback?
Well, there's some stuff to indicators that the offense uses, right? There's so much the offense does to try to discern whether it's man or zone, different formations, slot formations, things like that. And generally, if you're right and left, you're not given those man indicators, right? And teams get into man beaters and things like that. Other ways you can combat it is you can give them man alignments and play zone. We have both of those, but also when teams do tempo, quick, particularly Cowboys, that was the big thing. Just trying to find guys and go one side or the other. In that game, a significant portion of the second half, Denzel was trailing Neighbors. But there's also times where you can't do that. Like they get in bunches. If you try to lock one guy in a bunch, you can set yourself up for a lot of picks and a lot of things like that, and line up at number 3. And it's always sort of a little battle against the offense and battle sort of how you're going to play it into how much you're going to show, what you're showing, and how settled your guys are. And we try to balance all those in the game. He made a couple plays in the second quarter. You know, it wasn't every time in the second half, but Denzel matched him a lot more in the second half. You know, we were able to come up with some stops.
I think Garner completed like 15 passes, but still threw for over 300 yards in that Colts game. Just what do you see from him? Is he kind of the same quarterback that you saw last year in Indianapolis?
Yeah, made a couple plays with his feet. I think that was probably the big thing. He bought some time on some passes and made a couple plays with his feet, and we have to guard against both of those. He hasn't been designed running very much this year, but you know, everybody we face this year has that component. We have to be ready for that because he does have good mobility. Generally, ball's coming out either really fast or he's holding it a long time. We have to take advantage of the opportunities when he gives us chances. You know, in that Colt game, he gave us a couple chances, and we were able to capitalize enough to get some turnovers, which, you know, ended up flipping the script in that game. But holding down the explosives, keeping him from moving the sticks with his feet on third down, and buying time on first and second down to make big plays down the field, all that go into you know, consideration. You know, he's one of those guys. You know, he can get hot. You know, and we have to keep him from getting hot.
Devontae Adams, same thing with him, and he can go off at any game, right?
You know, they're going to make a concerted effort to get him the ball more. You know, they struggled on offense the last game, and when that happens, you generally, you know, you sort of circle the wagons and say, okay, let's get the ball to our playmaker a lot more. We'll expect that. Really good. I mean, just a pro. Just like you can make clinic tapes of his route running, his releases at the line of scrimmage. You know, some great catches down the field. And probably the other thing is he draws a lot of DPI penalties too. He's good at leaning in the guys and creating a little bit of contact that can draw some fouls. So, you know, and they move him around. This is probably the most shift, motion, multi-formation team that we've faced. I mean, Pittsburgh did a lot last year, but, you know, these guys, it is a lot of shift and motion and things like that, just, you know, putting all those guys at different spots. So good wide receiver core. Jacoby Myers, I got a lot of respect for that player. That guy blocks. He does the dirty work. He's, you know, he can make plays for him. He's a good receiver, and, you know, number 11 has got some big-time speed, and he's made some big plays for him. So, you know, those matchups are important in this game. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason they drafted him in the first round. You know, he's fast. He's a good route runner. He's a willing blocker. Again, all over the place. You know, use him as a wide receiver, use him in the backfield, of him as a tight end, competitive blocker. Certainly not afraid to go in there, but it looks like all their tight ends. But Mayer is a good player. They drafted him high. And then Harrison is there and fills a good role for those guys. So, you know, tight ends, wide receivers, good playmakers there, good challenges for us. I like our safety group, like our corner group. So, you know, we're going to have good matchups.
Being somewhat limited last week, is that a big adjustment for you? Is the play caller, and because he's not out there all the time, and because he's not maybe the same guy he normally is?
I wouldn't say either of those. I mean, he was out there quite a bit for us. I mean, maybe not every single snap, and you know, his snaps were down a little bit. But, you know, really call it any different when he's out there. I mean, he was given a lot of pressure in that game. It was, in my mind, it was similar to a lot of stuff late in the year, where you get good pressure. You can't always determine if the ball comes out quickly or not to be able to make the sack. But sometimes, you know, you get pressure, it's third down, they throw too quick, and you're off the field. It's a win for the defense. And, you know, he continues to do that for us and has played the run really well for us, too.
Jordan Hicks pretty well, obviously. How has he done in these first 3 games? It kind of looked like he was everywhere.
Yeah, he's 1-2 in the first 3 games. You know, I mean, I'll press that button every time you guys give me a chance to press it. But, you know, Jordan brings a lot to us. He's a great communicator. He's played physical. He's made plays for us. He's made sacks, tackles for losses. Gives us a lot of energy on the field. Wasn't able to finish the game last week, but, you know, when he's been out there for us, he's been a difference maker. Very, very reliable in his tackling. I mean, we didn't tackle very well, but, you know, Jordan's been, and Jeremiah too, they've been really good on the inside of the box stuff. And I mean, Jeremiah played such a good game, missing that tackle backed up, you know. You're not going to make every single play in the game, but, you know, I was disappointed for him because he had played so well in every other fashion. So, all right, guys.
Thank you.